My brother banned me from his wedding for being bi, so my parents disowned him and caused a massive family scandal. A few weeks ago, my brother told me that because I was bi, I wasn't allowed to attend his wedding. His fiancée's parents were extremely religious and would not approve of my boyfriend and me showing up. He ended this by telling me that if I showed up, he would no longer consider me a brother. This hurt me a lot, but I sucked it up and did not attend. It's also worth mentioning my parents didn't know I wasn't attending the wedding. So, on the big day, I was at home when I got a text from my parents asking where I was because they couldn't find me at the wedding party. I told them I wasn't attending the wedding and asked if my brother hadn't told them anything. They said no, and since I didn't see any reason to lie, I sent them a text message telling them exactly why. Immediately after receiving the text, my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden, my absence was the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, two fronts formed. On the one hand, my parents and the rest of my family were against the family of my brother's wife, and apparently, he felt compelled to take her side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home living my best life with my boyfriend while all of that went down at his wedding. The wedding party was ruined, and my brother appeared at my door angrily screaming at me, asking why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened, and he told me everything. I told him it wasn't my intention. I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know and wanted to know where I was. I thought he told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I ruined his wedding. I told him it's not my fault he wasn't honest with them. I just respected their wish to not attend the wedding. Update 1. So after my brother's visit, his wife and he went on their honeymoon, and the way the wedding party went might have been even worse than I imagined. Basically, my Sills family found both my Facebook and Instagram accounts and started spamming me with hateful messages. I received insults and hateful messages from various different accounts who all had one thing in common. They all had somewhat of a Christian theme and all of them had the same last name. So, it wasn't hard to find out whose accounts it was, mainly because I don't know my Sills family at all. They not only started insulting me, they also found the account of my boyfriend over my account because we're linked as a couple and started to send him the same messages. The messages contained, on one side, typical bigot stuff like, "You'll be in hell for your sins." One even called me and my boyfriend two devils in disguise. On the other side were just blatant insults. I called my parents and told them what they are doing. Then I sent a text message to my brother with screenshots of the messages his wife's family sent me, to which he replied that I shouldn't disturb him with that during his honeymoon as I already destroyed his wedding party. I couldn't believe it. He was just like them. He did send me an apology after my mom told me she called him. But the main thing is that I got a call this morning from an unknown number. I hesitated because I thought it was one of them, and I was right, but it was none of the people who insulted me. I heard a woman's voice who introduced herself as the half-sister of my brother's wife. She said it didn't go unnoticed what her family was doing, and she wanted to apologize for them. I told her I'm not going to tell anyone in her family about this, and that I don't blame her for her family's actions. She thanked me and hung up. I don't know why, but I have this feeling she only did this to protect her family from being reported. My mother wrote to me earlier that she wants to report the insults of these people, and that she demands for my brother to divorce his wife, or she will disinherit him from her will because that's not how she raised him. Update 2. It's been a little while, and at first, they didn't go any further than their text messages. My mom filed a report against them. One thing I need to mention, though, is that there is one person in my Sills family who is actually going to testify in my favor and against her family. It really takes courage to do so. It's the same person that called me last time. Somehow the family found out that she is into women. No reason to hide it anymore. However, she said she's fine and is going to stay at a friend's house. I have so much respect for what she does. Imagine the strength you need to testify against your own family. I now feel bad for assuming she only called me to save her family from being reported. As far as my brother goes, my mom talked to him and told him to leave his wife, or she will disinherit him from her will. He decided to stay with his wife, and my mom made her threat come true. He's no longer in her will. My father did the same. When I visited them, I also told them that I wish that this entire situation went differently. They assured me it's not my fault. but I feel like if it wasn't for me, then my family wouldn't be ripped apart like this. I haven't talked to my brother since then, except for one text where he told me that this was all my fault. He claimed that he was the victim in this situation, and that if I didn't go blabbing on to my parents, he would still be in the will. He told me that he and his wife could have really used the money further down the line, and that I was taking this all away from him. I didn't respond to him, however, but shortly after he sent me this message, I decided to start documenting everything, the insulting and harassing messages. Update 3. Well, the charges against them were pressed, and the process was very annoying, with my Sil's family trying to play victim and changing the story to suit themselves. My Sil's mother actually tried to spin the entire story and claimed that my boyfriend and I showed up to the wedding and tried acting extremely inappropriate on the dance floor, thus making everyone uncomfortable and ruining the wedding. However, the documentation of the messages I had were a slam dunk since they completely disproved what my Sil's mother was saying, and we actually ended up winning the case. Now, although the majority of the family weren't going to jail or anything, my Sil's mother might be because she is currently being investigated for perjury. The rest of the family had to pay for their actions literally. There was one incident where my Sil's dad was actually trying to find out where I lived and asked my brother, who told him. Only God knows what he would have done to us if we still lived there. But in the time span of the last 2 months, my boyfriend and I moved to a different place, which my brother didn't know anything about. Apparently, the father showed up to our house with a baseball bat, but there is no proof of that. Also, all their social media accounts were deleted. However, I don't know if this was part of their punishment or if they did it themselves. After the case was settled, my brother had the audacity to beg her to put him in again. She said only if he apologized to me, and he actually agreed. She invited me and my boyfriend over, and my brother sat in the living room with this mad look on his face. She made him apologize, but I didn't accept this apology because I could tell it wasn't sincere. He did it because he had to, and not because he was actually sorry. He said to me in such a tone that made me question everything I thought I knew about him. There was zero feeling or emotion put into it. It was the most monotone apology of all time, and actually hurt me more than if he were to not apologize at all. After this, I told my brother that I am disappointed in him for who he became. Before that, we had this huge bond. We never judged each other for stuff like this, and all of a sudden, he has such a problem with me having a boyfriend. I reminded him of how we promised to be each other's best man, and he just spit on that promise. I just don't get it. I told him that I miss the old him. He didn't respond to anything. He just sat there quietly staring at the bottom. After I finished, he just got up and left. This was the last time I spoke with him, and it's already been a few weeks since this happened. My parents paid much more attention to the challenges I faced since this incident. I really love them. My dad even got a pride flag for me and asked if he could hang it in our bedroom. I love that I have such great parents. I just wished for my brother to become the person he once was. BTW, since the case with my Sil's family is over, I haven't heard anything about their lesbian daughter. She supported us during the process, but we lost contact afterwards, and I just hope she's fine. Update 4. I proposed to my boyfriend, and he said yes. I spent the last few months bringing up so many ideas and giving him some subtle hints, not too obvious, just enough to see how he reacts and then decide based on his reaction. In the end, I made a photo album of us featuring the most important events in our relationship. Each of them had a thought of mine and a caption below them. Some of them were meaningful, but some of them were just random, like one photo of us eating at his favorite restaurant on his birthday, and the caption just says something like, "Damn, that pizza was good." That made him laugh. We walked to his favorite spot in town, which is a wonderful lake. That is where I gave him the album and told him it's a present and to look through it. He was focused and didn't notice what I was doing behind him as I just told him I was getting something I forgot. I positioned myself behind him, and that is when the last page came into play. That page had a photo of me holding the ring in the same way I positioned myself behind him, looking straight at the camera, and the caption says, "Hopefully, he says yes." He turned around in disbelief and started crying almost immediately when he saw me. I couldn't even finish the question, and he already said yes. It was exactly how I hoped it would go. I always dreamed of making my proposal out of a romance novel, and I was successful. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to marry him. I already told my entire family, except for my brother, of course. They were so happy about it, especially my mom, who shrieked out of excitement on the phone. Update 5. My boyfriend and I got married, and it was the best, greatest, and the most unconventional wedding ever. Instead of a regular wedding dance, we decided to have a lightsaber battle against each other. He won because he knows how to wield his sword. However, he didn't necessarily win. You see, it wasn't just a regular lightsaber battle. The battle was a choreography we had to learn since we're both huge Star Wars fans. My dad, who also loves Star Wars, said he wanted to join, and he had an idea how to do that. In the end, he had a lightsaber battle against my fiancé, where my fiancé had to fight for the right to marry me, where my dad eventually lost. Then I stepped in to test my fiancé's strength myself, and there was a lightsaber battle between us where I fully acknowledged his force is worthy. Update 6. Syl's mother got sentenced to 9 months in prison.